Coming from humble origins as a son of a Mexican immigrant, Ruben Guerra has risen to become a leading advocate for Latino entrepreneurs. Ruben knows a thing or two about being an entrepreneur since very early in his life. At 8 years old, Ruben had to go from Los Angeles to San Bernardino to harvest melons and then back to Los Angeles to sell them on the streets.
Rain or shine, it didn't matter. I still to this day remember at 4 a.m. in the back of the truck, cold, raining, in the back of the truck, getting wet all the way there, and then coming back with a loaded truck. And even if it was raining, we're in the streets of East LA selling watermelons, selling oranges. And I used to really thrive on that because I used to get home and I used to be the one making the most money. So I started as an entrepreneur very early.
Ruben is chairman and CEO of Latin Business Association, the nation's largest Latino business trade organization. Let's talk to Ruben Guerra and find out Como Lo Hizo.
Éxito.
Success.
Hábitos.
Habits.
¿Cómo lo hizo?
How do they make it?
Descubra las costumbres y secretos de los triunfadores.
Discover the habits and the secrets of those who have succeeded.
Ruben, thank you for being with us in Como Lo Hizo.
Thank you for having me.
So, tell me more about LBA, Latin Business Association.
Well, the Latin Business Association actually started 42 years ago. We just celebrated our 42nd annual Soul Business Awards last week. And it was actually started by a group of students from USC. There were 5 students, business students, that graduated from USC and said, now what are we going to do? So they went and started what's called the Latin Business Men's Association. And then about 5 years later, they started getting, the women were saying, well, why? What about us? So they ended up changing the name from the Latin Men's Association to the Latin Business Association. So it's been around a long time, and really it started off as more of a civil rights, fighting for the rights of Latino business in the state of California and at a Washington level, the rules, the, better for not too much taxes. I mean, everything that has to do with business, it was why it started, fighting for the rights of the Latino business. Now we fight for more business, and now it's building economic growth for the Latino business community.
So, and you are its president?
Yes, I'm the chairman and acting CEO.
So, why Latino entrepreneurs should be part of LBA?
Well, there's it's a funny thing that the growth of the LBA in the last maybe 5-6 years has been really growing really quickly. And I think because we have set the standards where we work a lot with corporate America. We work a lot with even international business, big corporations in Mexico. And what we do is we help the smaller businesses engage with those larger contracts, with the cities, with the counties, with the state, help them get those contracts. And so we're like a tool. And you can't fix a car if you don't have a tool, right? So
right.
You have to have a tool that helps you get to that next level. And we've done a very good job and very successful with that. And that's why everybody that hears LBA, they want to join because they want to make more money, they want more business, and we are the arm to do that.
So you train the entrepreneurs how to get contracts with government or public institutions.
Yes, public. It could be LAUSD. It could be LADWP. It could be City of Los Angeles, the State of California, Walmart, Target, Union Bank. It could be Edison, the gas companies, all different levels of corporate.
So how do you do it? I mean, what is it? Is it an institute? Is it classes, or you have mentors?
Well, basically, there's a big base, a lot of our base that already is at a good level, making over $1 million, making over $5 million, and they just need that relationship. Can you introduce me? Now, I have become very relationship-based with a lot of the corporate, a lot of the CEOs, because of the position that I'm in. I have these relationships. So if somebody comes to me and say, hey, can you introduce me to a buyer at Edison? I just pick up the phone, I call them, and I can get them connected. So it's that easy. And but we've become now more the training that we do for those businesses that have been in business like 2 to 3 years that are starting and that are starting to do well, but they just need that extra push. And we have something called the Supplier Diversity Boot Camp. So we created a boot camp about 13 years ago that we train business owners, a 7-week program. We train them how to do business with corporate America. So it's going from learning to do business to becoming a business, taking you from your garage to the office. So we help people get business ready.
Interesting. How many members do you have?
Right now, we have actually about 4,380 members.
That's interesting. Now, from your perspective, what's the main challenge the Latino entrepreneurs are facing today in this political and economic environment?
Well, I think in California, it's not as bad as being, I think, in other states. California leads the way when it comes to economics, when it comes to business, when it comes to growing your business, and there's a lot of factors that actually like myself. I'll give you an example. Sometimes the politics of it, what's going on right now with politics, yes, it's upsetting, but that doesn't stop me from doing business. So that doesn't affect my business, and if it does, it's like the import-export, where they ended up doing this 25% more or 30% towards solar. So now solar is not coming from Asia, right, as before into the U.S. Now they're trying to focus more on companies here. But guess what? So now you could take the solar to Mexico. So over there is no tariff like there is here. So somebody like myself who's doing business on both borders, then I just go around this. So it never stops you. And I think as entrepreneurs and Latinos, that's something about us that we don't stop. We always find a way, and we keep going and we keep going, and we don't let the politics affect our business.
Yeah, because at the end, politics is understandable in terms of the fights and division and all that stuff. But at the end, we have to eat.
Yeah.
So we have to make business.
Yeah.
And, it's very interesting. I don't know what's your take on this, but I am aware that you can be news junk, so being, immersed in news and politics and all that stuff, but most of the people are not. And, they don't consume news or this kind of information as probably some of us.
Right.
So they go to work, they have to feed their families, they have to look for new businesses. That's why you're talking, correct?
Right. Yeah. They're not too worried about what's going on in the political world. They're more worried about how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay my office? How am I going to pay the warehouse? How am I going to pay my employees? How am I going to put food on the table? This is what the most important things are to an entrepreneur or to a business owner. So we got to worry about those things every day. Wake up every day, go to work, get home late at night. We don't have time sometimes to watch the news. Now, I'm involved in both because in my office, I have my TV screen there, and I'm watching the news all day long while I'm working to be up to par with what's going on in the politics. So
yeah, because you're a leader.
Yes,
you're in the position of leadership. Otherwise, you wouldn't know who's the president today. I'm sorry.
So I have to worry about politics and my business. So
which is smart. At the end, there are but very related at the end. So taxes can affect you substantially, or new laws for employees and all that stuff. So you have to be educated, correct?
Correct.
Now, the question that I have is, in your experience, what's the key quality at the personal level an entrepreneur should have in order to be successful?
Well, as I'll share something that I think I have that has kept me going and going and going, is that I have a lot of faith in God. I always say I'm a man of faith, and I try to be honest and loyal and with the responsibilities that I have as a family man and as a business owner. And I take that with me since I was a kid and up to now, growing up in the streets, not graduating from high school, and now being able to call myself a doctor. So all this has been just the spirit within me that has kept me going, and always believing that God is going to guide me to where I need to go. And that has been a biggest thing, I think, on a lot of us, that we have something, whether it's in faith in this or faith in that, doesn't matter the religion, but you have faith in something that keeps you going. And you always got to believe in that. Because if you don't believe in something, then you're not gonna. I don't think you'll make it if there's not something behind you that is keeping you going. So and that's been a big thing for me.
Faith. Now, you said something that I didn't know. That you were born in Los Angeles, correct?
Yes.
And now you mentioned that you didn't finish school.
No.
So tell me about it. How was your early life?
Well, I had to. I've been working since I was small. I used to, since like 8, 9 years old, I used to go to Bakersfield and pick watermelons and oranges with my dad. We used to go and pick and then come back, and rain or shine, it didn't matter. I still to this day remember at 4 a.m. in the back of the truck, cold, raining, and we're under a tarp, in the back of the truck, getting wet all the way there. And then coming back with a loaded truck. And if it was raining, we're in the streets of East LA selling watermelons, selling oranges. And I used to really thrive on that because I used to get home and I used to be the one making the most money, not going door to door, selling like crazy. At 8, 9 years old, bringing mom money home, right? Because there was 8 of us.
You were 8 years old and you were doing that.
Yes.
Going to Bakersfield, harvesting the melons, you said?
Yeah.
And then coming back to LA to sell them?
To sell them in the streets of East LA.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started as an entrepreneur very early.
So you were 8 kids?
There was 8 and I was the oldest of the boys. So 5 girls and 3 boys, and I was the oldest of the boys.
And you were the one that brought more money.
Yeah,
I
was the one that had to, because, back then my dad didn't have papers, so, couldn't really get a good job. And my mom had come from Panama. She did have a paper, but she never worked. It's taking care of so many kids,
of course.
So I always saw that I had a responsibility. And so I always say that I graduated from picking watermelons and oranges to then collecting cardboard, newspaper, and then collecting cans and aluminum, and that's how I just started.
And now you mentioned that you are a doctor?
Yes, I'm now a doctor, a PhD in business, international business.
That's amazing.
Yes, it was actually an honorary doctorate by Charisma University, and 2 years ago.
That's outstanding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you learn in this process from harvesting melons to a PhD? Besides faith that you mentioned before, what other element is consistent in your experience, in your life, that make you to be successful?
Well, I think one thing that I've always talked about, and I've gotten invited to a lot of schools, high schools and colleges, and I've always, I get invited to speak. And I get invited to speak to encourage the youth about entrepreneurship, about doing business, and just what's their next step in life. And I tell all the high school and the colleges, I say, the main thing you got to do is always keep learning. Everything that happens to us in life is a learning step. But we don't know when we're going to use it. So we always have to keep learning and learning and learning. And that's something that I've done. I've learned that to work hard or to be out there in the rain or to be out there in the sunshine, it doesn't matter. Sometimes we're complaining, it's too hot, I'm not going to go today. Oh, it's raining, I'm not going to go today. It doesn't matter. You go and you get out there, it doesn't matter. It's a learning process that we go through since we're young. And I did learn the hard way. I was in the streets, but I could have taken any route. I learned that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I learned that I wanted to do something. I always wanted to go to school. I felt as I go to these graduations and speak, there was always something. I would get emotional. So I would get emotional when I would hear the music of the graduation because I never graduated. And it was something I said, someday I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to graduate. So I tell everybody, can you imagine where I'm at now? I'm the leader of one of the most respected organizations in the U.S. for Latino business. And I did it just by fighting and not giving up. Now, if you have an education, how much more can you do in life with an education? It's all learning. It's a learning process. And I think I could probably be president right now if I would have graduated, if going to school and learning and doing everything in politics. If I would have taken that route, maybe I'll be president right now. Who knows? We never know. So I think the learning